ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the What You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the Sussy Bakas of the What You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2019 anime Astra Lost in Space. Let's meet today's passengers. First up, he took 20 swipes to pass the keycard test. Kinda sus, if I do say so myself. We got Kat. Kat, how's it going?
Look, bro, sometimes it just doesn't want to work with me. I've had this issue with my actual credit card. I have issues with cards, apparently. I just destroyed them in the first year. Anyway, I'm doing great.
All right, man, but you are looking a little sus tonight. Next up, he arranges the wires in the wrong order and then just left. Kinda sus, if I do say so myself. We got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
That is literally just me at work. And it's not because I'm sus, it's because I'm lazy.
That's what's up. Our first moderator tonight, he claims he was in medical, yet there are no scans of him. We got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
It's going good. If this show was anything like when we played The Last of Us as Discord back in the day, The Last of Us,
Among Us, they both end in the word us and therefore are the same. My strategy of just blame Johnny would be undefeated.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's very true.
Very, very true. And Pat.
I'm not a sussy baka.
I
love it.
Baka.
Hell yeah. I do think it's funny you flagged Kat first. Thinking. Putting on my
alert
cap thing.
I'm pressing the button in the kitchen right now.
We have to call a meeting.
Yeah, call a meeting.
Pat, this is me on the imposter comms. You can't just be saying shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Hold on, I'm gonna pull a race card real quick.
Nice. That always gets them. Like we always do, Kat.
They did work with Johnny and Kat quite a lot, to be fair, when we played.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, well, we are all sussy bakas on this ship together, so I guess we should just ignore it until the end, right? Even
Correct.
though one of us is trying to kill each other. Yeah, we were watching the show Astra Lost in Space. And I you know what, Miles, name a better solution. And you know what, you can't, because I'm not going to let you right now. We watched Astra Lost in Space, which aired in the summer 2019 season. It's done by Studio Lurch, who did a lot of fun shows like Classroom of the Elite, Assassination Classroom, trying to think of the other ones that I saw when I was looking earlier. But it's a manga source of adventure, award-winning, mystery, sci-fi, suspense with themes of space and survival. Why don't we just get started with our initial thoughts on the show? First few episodes. Miles, start us off. What do you think, and would you recommend it?
Yeah, the show was it's a very interesting show. There are a lot of areas where I think it's pretty strong, and it comes across that way pretty quickly. The characters, while a bit tropey, I think are good, and I think they have actually pretty strong interactions with each other. I liked the group dynamic in this a fair amount. Like it is a little paint by numbers, but they jazzed it up a little bit, and that's enough for me. The premise of this is a bit busy, but relatively strong. You have a group of teenagers who are supposed to be on like a day trip, and there's a traitor, and they're trying to get back because they got sent way far away, and some mysteries and stuff pop up. Kept me hooked throughout most of it. I was interested in the general premise of this, and then it also has like areas that are like insanely weak. Like anything sci-fi about this is like pretty awful. From like if you think about the things that happen in this show and the decisions these people make for 1 or 2 seconds too long, which would be somewhere between 2 and 3 seconds, a lot of this falls apart. That being said, I think it's fun. I would probably recommend it. I think it's like, just know going into it, you are not getting Casablanca. You are getting Lost in Space, which is not that. I don't know. It's fun. It's a good romp. Don't think about it too hard. It's not. Well, I think it actually might be trying to say something, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't. Whether it's trying to or not. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fun show, I think, overall. So I would say if you're looking for a nice, bingey show, give this a go. If you want something light that you don't need to like zone in on. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
You don't think it was saying something interesting? Because I think like that's the whole point of the last episode.
Whoa. I said it is trying to say something, but it doesn't. Those are slightly different.
I think it does. So I think we'll have to talk about that later. I don't know if I agree with what it said, but it's interesting. All right, Kat, what about you?
Yeah, first impression of the show is that this show felt very trippy to me during the first few episodes. I liked the main character. I liked Ares. I liked Kanata, even though Kanata was a little bit too trippy for my taste. I feel like everybody was kind of that way at first, but I guess I would recommend it if like what Miles says, if you're not trying to think about it too hard, yeah, I'd recommend it. If you're trying to find something that's, really thought-provoking, no, skip it.
Fair enough. All right, Jay, what about you?
Yeah, so my first impressions of this show. So I think that the first thing a lot of people who didn't watch this as it was airing, who might look into it, hear about this, is that it's described as Among Us in space. And I think that that comparison does have some merit that you learn about within the first few episodes. Like, the sabotage happens pretty early on. Obviously, there's some weird stuff going on with how they get lost in space, that sort of thing. But I also went into this thinking it was going to be kind of like Danganronpa in space as well, where we were going to be having some people get killed every couple episodes, maybe even every episode, trying to find out who the killer was before it was too late. This is going to be a small spoiler for the show, but it's nothing like that. I won't go into any more detail at this moment in time. It will be something I talk about later, but just know if you're going expecting high octane, people dying every single time, gruesome murders, this is not the show for that. And I think that if you're somebody like me who thinks that that is the show you're getting, you might be a little bit disappointed when you get here. I've mentioned it before on the show, but I come from a background of playing large-scale games of deception online, both in, talking to people every day and in the sense of playing like Mafia and all that. So, like, that sort of thing has a lot of, like, I give a lot of credit whenever shows do deception and mind games right. I love a good deception game. And from the beginning, I don't think that this show is doing it in the right way. And I think that it set us kind of a bad tone in my mind. But the characters themselves are pretty good in general. I just think that like in the beginning, you can definitely tell who's going to be like the core group and who's going to be background characters. And yeah. Overall, I think I would recommend this. I would agree with Miles in that I wouldn't really recommend this to like sci-fi fans because this is not a sci-fi. There's no logic to anything that they're doing whatsoever. There's no internal consistency, anything like that. If you like space but not sci-fi, go for it, I guess. If you like shows about summer camp, go for it because that's basically what this is a show about summer camp.
There you go. All right. It technically is. Yeah, there you go. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as Jay. I was coming into this thinking that this was Danganronpa, essentially, of some sort. And then I realized after the first episode, this is a Scooby-Doo mystery. It reminded me a lot of like a Saturday morning cartoon where I think it's supposed to have like a wide base of audience where inconsistencies and plot holes and really bad writing are the norm, because I don't think it's trying to be Knives Out. Like, I think it's trying to be mystery of the week in an episodic format. So once I changed my mindset after the first episode, I thoroughly enjoyed Astra. I thought this was really fun. I didn't care about some of the things that maybe like Miles doesn't like in these type of shows where it's just like, why would you do this? It's making me go crazy. I'm just like, oh, these kids are just stupid kids in space. And once I changed my mindset to that, I had a lot of fun just watching this. Would I recommend this? I didn't watch it subbed, but I would say watch this sub. I thought the dub was terrible.
I thought it was great. Oh my god, it was so good.
I thought
it added to the the campiness, in my opinion. Everyone had a different accent.
Ulgar or Ogre, as they call him. His
Whoa.
voice actor in the dub was so bad. It was crazy. Yeah,
He's 16 and smokes a pack a day.
there's a thing that Miles said in our grievance episode where like we don't know if shows are good or bad, but I just disagreed with him. I think this is bad. I think this is a very bad dub. Like straight up.
That's not my point. Was you would know if a dub was bad or not, and you wouldn't know if a sub was bad.
But
or not.
I said okay, whatever. Well, I think this dub is bad, so I would say I recommend this. Watching it sub and just go into it knowing that you're not getting Knives Out, you're not getting Agatha Christie, you're getting a Scooby-Doo, like a mystery for a 12-year-old. This is a mystery for a 12-year-old. And if you go into that and just have fun with it, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. I agree with what everyone has said a lot about the characters. Their interpersonal relationships that they have are really cool and well done in the show, I think. I can see where people are coming from with the sci-fi aspect as someone who really doesn't like sci-fi very much usually and is very much it has to be grounded for me to like it or like make some sense. Like for whatever reason, I guess the fact that space travel existed in this universe and that they established that they can travel at light speed and whatever, that didn't bother me that much because it was just like, okay, this exists, so I guess anything is possible. Maybe that is what helped me through it because again, usually I very much dislike stuff like that. I don't really know what else to say. I think I would recommend this show to most people. Like everyone else has said, I think if you just watch it like from a casual perspective, it's pretty good. I thought the dub was fun too. Like what they were, you guys are saying that some of it was really bad. Like the voice acting was like, what the hell is going on here? But other parts of it were fun, and sometimes that made it better. Like that when a certain character comes in later in the show, oh my god, is it funny? Like I had to pause because I was crying laughing at the first 10 words out of their mouth. I just could not stop laughing at it.
Now, I just want to clarify for people listening to this. Pat was laughing because it was not good. It was. One might say it could fit the tone of the show, though the voice acting quality was poor.
It was just silly, yeah. And I also don't think it was like it wasn't it wasn't bad in a way that listening to it made it not fun or not translated well or whatever you would want to say. And I can say that because I had to watch the final episode subtitled instead of dubbed for whatever reason. That the dub didn't exist for that final episode for me. So I thought the subtitle voices were interesting, like were pretty good too, like more fitting of the ages of the characters, like what you guys mentioned with one of the younger characters, but it didn't really change my enjoyment of the show too much for me. I don't know. I think I really had a good time watching this. I like you said, 2 Miles. It's a really good binge. I have to say, it was super easy to just go right from one episode to the next. I did not want to stop. Lots of plot holes, but I again found a way to enjoy it despite that. I thought that it was just. I think the word you used, campy, was really good to describe it, where I was just like, yeah, whatever. That's very not real, but whatever, I don't know. It was weird. I normally hate that shit. And it did not bother me that much in this show. So I guess we can explore that when we get through this. But yeah, I would recommend this to most people. I think you can find an enjoyment in it unless you're Miles and science.
I would like to clarify: the plot holes are not that this advanced technology exists in this world. That is like a given of the world. The plot holes are that the people are so unfathomably stupid.
Okay.
That the events could not occur. It is just impossible. It would take 42 seconds to figure out any of this from a global standpoint.
I am not even going to lie to you. Me and Simone literally, we called 75% of the plot twist within the first 4 episodes.
Maybe it's because I'm sick and I wasn't that into it. I obviously like what I think one thing you mentioned in the chat, Jay, one specific plot twist with the siblings. I thought that was a very
That was so obvious.
very well. There was I knew there was something going on there. Oh, they're not related by blood, but like
They look.
I don't know. I guess we're
exactly
going.
the same.
They looked identical, right? So
Yeah.
like I knew something
It
was
felt
going
too
on
simple
there.
for them to just be like siblings.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, that's a clone.
That
Spoilers, sorry.
We can
well, I was
do
about
that.
to say
We can
before we
just dive
before
into
we can dive into this, absolutely. But that's why I was going to say before we do that, spoilers going forward. I think we had 5 recommends, although some with caveats. So that's a good sign for a show that we all enjoyed it enough to want to talk about it, and we're edging on. We just have to get there. We want to talk about it. So
you're
let's
edging,
get it.
bro. I'm not edging over here.
Okay.
You're edging on, but I'm edging off.
Yeah,
we
you
can
are.
all.
Yeah, you are, you sicko.
Yeah.
Well, either way, spoilers going forward for those that are concerned or don't want to get spoiled on Astra Lost in Space. But yeah, like I guess we'll hop right into the spoilers, right? Like just because we are a free flowing show and we don't have structure, except we do that we are just ignoring right now. But like so like the spoiler you brought up, Jay, like specifically the clones thing. I can see where people would have predicted that, but like what other like that they were all clones? I didn't see that coming at all.
No
Like,
one saw that coming because there was no basis for that.
right.
I actually I thought there was something fucky going on with their parents because of how much they made them individual characters. And
I agree with that.
so
100%.
I thought their parents were. Can we just say all the spoilers here?
Yeah, no, this
drop 'em.
we're onto the
I thought
episode now.
I
Yeah,
thought I knew the format, but I just wanted just in case.
Mhm.
But like this is like whenever their parents were done as like individual characters, and then they also were like it wasn't them struggling versus the government like in a Stranger Things type thing. I was like, well, they're behind it, like 100% they're behind it for some
Yeah.
reason.
Well, yeah, especially when they do that meeting and everyone is like on the same
Yes.
page of well, our kids are dead, whatever. After a month,
Except for
It's
the
been like
mother.
5 days.
it was a month. It was a month, but yeah, it was like all right, or a couple months, I think actually.
Yeah, no, it was 1 month, I think.
Yeah, I think they had said the government called off the search 30 days ago, which like I don't know. Either way, yeah, I
had
thought
to
that
have
was
one meeting
and
for
the
that one
government
woman.
cut off. It's been
Yeah.
1 month and the government cut off the search 30
It was just
days
Ares'
ago.
mom who was just like, hey, we shouldn't stop looking for them. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I agree that's how most parents would be. The not fucked up parents would be. Also, very realistic that they'd just be dead, though, right? Like let's be real here, right?
One of them's a super genius, to be fair, and the other one's like a survival god and decathlon, like the strongest athlete on the planet or some
Yeah.
shit like that.
cool.
Like-
Athletes don't matter in space if they just
I
didn't
mean-
put their helmets on, they all were dead, right? Like
yeah, sure.
you know,
And they also
like-
needed the ship there too, which was a stroke of luck. So
right. Which I guess does that also open up the door for conversation around like plot conveniences and things like that, which this
Oh,
show
yeah.
is full
So-
of them. There's no doubt about that. I think like even from a liking the show perspective, they get very lucky many times. But isn't that kind of like what always happens to
it was pretty
protagonists?
lucky that they just happen to have planets within range to do a perfect hop, skip, and jump on supplies every single time.
Yeah.
Like I know, and you are right. That is what happens in shows. But like, okay, let's think of it from the perspective of another show that's a long journey of somebody being far away from home, right? Let's think about Vinland Saga, something that all of us have seen. In Vinland, this is like the equivalent of Vinland Saga if Thorfinn got lost and then there was like a boat just waiting there for him that was more or less self-driving or self-piloting, and then he also just happened to like come upon the 4 villages that would welcome him and give him food to go along his journey to get there. And also there was somebody on the boat who like Oskalod was on the boat with him the entire time and was going to kill him, but then because of the Vinland Saga being the friends we made along the way, he decides not to.
Yeah, the power of friendship, baby. I don't know. I saw it as like part of the message of the show is that like, you know, alone you're you're only able to do so much, but as a group, as a society, we can do so much together. I thought that
I
was
don't dislike the traitor not or joining them. By the way, I was defending that. I just want to clarify, but it is very convenient at the same time.
Oh no! Well, everything's convenient. The convenient they've got a doctor. The convenient they've got a photographic memory girl. Convenient that they've got I don't know, like literally every role you could possibly need, and then also a singer.
To make these kids smart is the thing, because they're working on the memory shit. They could have made these kids dumb as rocks, and that would have been way easier to kill them. But instead they want to make them all geniuses and shit, because they were like, I can't bear to inhabit the body of a pleb. Like, come on, man.
Sounds like something a rich dumb person would do. I don't know.
Smart is the thing. He's making memory transfer technology.
Really quick, we're all talking from a point of like complete knowledge, and we're sort of flowing in and out of our plot twists here.
Sorry.
So, no, it's okay.
It's just so much.
I understand. I completely get it. So I think let's establish ourselves a little bit before we get into these twists, talk about characters and everything, the general plot, and then, because I think our more contentious points, the points where we're going to get a little more back and forthy like that, which is always good for content, are going to be these plot holes and twists and yada yada, and we should ground our audience. So I guess the first thing that I thought we could talk about was the just like the general cast and what we like thought of them, and did we like them. I know Pete had mentioned this being sort of a little Classroom of the Elite, same studio, where these people are both geniuses and kind of dumb at the same time. Did you find that endearing? Did you have issues with that? Which of these characters did you like? What relationships did you like? I actually think this is a pretty good cast, all things considered. So, Pete, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I would say for like the core, I would say it's decent. There were definitely some characters that I had like no, like, if they died, I'd feel nothing.
The singer girl, yeah.
The singer girl. I'm just gonna call him Ulgar because I think it's funnier because that's how they call them in the dub. Like Zach, I think like he was to his character. Like the fact that he like could never break that specific character, even in moments with, how do you pronounce his fiance's name or his wife's name? Petrie. Yeah. Even like moments with her, he's just like, I am a robot. I am going to say the lines, yes, Petrie, I love you, like stuff like that, where it's like,
I thought that was really funny.
It's like he never deviated from that, which I guess is like his character, so it makes sense. But like from like an overall cast, I would say I thought it was like okay. It's better than Classroom of the Elite. I'll say that much. It is like Classroom of the Elite, where they are all elite at something. But I would say in the grand scheme of things, they're all kind of dumb, but it makes sense. They're high schoolers, so it's like, it's fine. But yeah, it definitely did give me the Classroom Elite trope. So it's like, I fucking hate this.
And for these kids, they were also specifically groomed by their originals to be like specific things.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would lack in other areas.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on the characters, the cast, anything you liked, disliked, etc.?
Yeah. So for me personally, like when it comes to the characters, my favorites were Kanata and Ares, and on a French note, Luca. Everybody else could go kick rocks. Like that's how I felt. Because like, to be fair, like Kitari, her whole thing was just narrating on the drama, and it's like I compare the character interactions to kind of like a 5-in-1 product. Like one singular product is meant to do that one singular thing and can do that one singular thing very well in that specific instance. But when you have all of these different products that are meshed into one, every singular product that is put together gets worse as a result. This show feels like it tries to be a bit of shonen with Kanata. It feels like it's trying to be a high school drama with Kitari and Ares. And I thought there was a little bit of that stuff going on with Yunhua. Then it was trying to be a bit of a mystery, but that's the actual thing. But like the characters just kind of felt all over the place, and then they just kind of fell to the background when they didn't need to be in the front. But that felt like it was kind of separating the casts out rather than making it feel like they're friends. You know what I mean? Like it felt just circumstance that, oh yeah, we're gonna have Kanata and Ares together, and then we're gonna have Ares and Charse together, and just like, also Charse is just a bad name, but stuff.
One letter off from the goat.
Yeah, that one letter makes him leagues worse.
Oh, what do you have against the letter S?
It's CE, actually. I have terrible news for everyone in this
That's
conversation.
even, all right, I agree with Kat. Never mind. You're entirely valid.
Oh no, I was talking about Charse, not Char. Anyway,
Yeah, that was.
but
That's the. Yeah,
That was the joke.
that was the joke.
yes.
Yes.
Guys, what do we think about when Char killed his surprise twin?
Let's talk about a better show.
Yeah, guys, was it cool whenever Shar was in the show and he killed the other person in the other Astra because it was a survival situation? Pat, what do you in particular think about that?
Yeah.
You do what you got to do.
Kat, I would respond to you by saying I actually thought the relationships were pretty natural. I thought they were awkward at first, except for the people who knew each other. It started a bit cliquey, and then as they went through this together, they got to know each other and open up with each other a bit more. And I really liked that. Also, I loved Keytree. I thought she was great, but I also just love drama in general. And so, like, I don't know. I just don't get a lot of characters in anime that are like, oh, like, you got to ask this person out. How do you do that? And like setting things up. And like,
you don't get a lot of shit stirs.
Yeah, exactly. And like, as one myself, I really appreciate it. And I also liked how the relationships actually progressed. Like, while they were like, people got together during the show, people learned like romantic things and all of that, like during this, which is, as far as an anime goes, especially like something like this, going the extra mile is truly unprecedented. Jay, you had some thoughts.
Yeah, about the relationships between the characters, I think that they developed I think that while my criticism of the show not being like sci-fi enough or suspenseful enough is a thing, I think that it's like just based on how the characters interact with each other from the get-go, you can tell like it is in fact like meant to be more of a character focused show than the overall plot. Like the way that the characters interact with each other, the way that they grow together and their relationships develop, that's meant to be the actual meat of the series, not like the space is just in the Astra is literally and metaphorically just a vehicle for these relationships to develop and for us to see the conclusions of them. That doesn't necessarily make me like the show more, but I think that that's a pretty good way to look at it when it comes to discussions, I suppose.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Pat, you want to go?
No, I was gonna bounce that off too, but like, yeah, I think that the vehicle works though, because like again, they encounter. Well, first they don't all trust each other because they think that there's a saboteur. Which helps the dynamic of the group being formed. I think like it makes it unique, it makes it different. So that, like I can see where people were coming from with the it's Among Us the anime like idea, but I think it probably helped me that I saw so many of you before I started watching see you guys say it's not Among Us at all to like separate myself from that expectation going in. But I thought like what you said, Miles, I thought the relationships between the characters all started developing pretty naturally. I thought it was really cool how they like tied the whole group together progressively, and then they kept having those like setbacks, right? Like the suspicions of sabotage they have when Ulgar, how the frick his voice sounded, and it was so goofy. They had him come out and be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy because his dad or whatever, and then they still end up trusting him after the fact because they realize that, you know what, he's just misguided, he's not actually a murderous, or he's not a psychopath, whatever you'd want to say. I guess you could still argue that, but like maybe that's how they perceived him. And then we even with what's his name? Charse, the fake Char, his initial trap that he fell into, revealing that he was the killer, the imposter, so to speak. Like I thought that was really interesting too, how they welcomed right back in too. Like I didn't expect it necessarily. I guess maybe I did from this show by that point, but like you wouldn't expect it going into a show like this that they would all stick together, that they would all survive, and that they would all end up working together. I guess we kind of hinted at this in the very beginning, but oh my god, how funny was that Russian person's fucking voice actress? Oh my god, that shit was so funny when they introduced her and her first few lines. I was like, no way we're doing this in this show right now. Like it was so bad. She also just vanishes for like long periods of time in the final few episodes. Like when they meet as a group, they just seem to like forget she exists until she comes on screen and talks. Like I don't know. Kat, you had something about the accent of Ulgar specifically, I guess, first.
Yeah. So the thing about Ulgar's voice is that we realized that it's a Bronx voice, but I realized how you can recreate it. So first of all, try and make a country accent. With that country accent, try and make the worst Bronx accent that you've ever done.
You
Should we call Hazza?
You should have seen Miles's face when you said try and make a country accent. His eyes literally widened so large,
like for Miles specifically, we're talking about like a Hyde County accent. Like we're talking like backwoods of breakneck no fucking where, and then going into a Bronx accent.
I think he sounds like the Game Over Man guy, kind of. Like, I wonder if that's what they were going for.
Game over, man. From Alien?
Didn't they have the like survival tip where it's like survival tip number whatever? If you lose confidence, it's game over, man. Like that actually made me laugh. I'll give him that.
For Pat, the guy who plays Ulgar is in Smite.
Which character does he voice?
Somebody named Swagny? Is that a real?
He voices Swagny. No, oh my god, this is so funny that this comes up now.
Off more or less.
No, so Swagny is a skin in Smite for the Hindu god Agni. It's literally Agni, but he's a pimp, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's
some of the voice lines. Some of the voice lines are fucking hilarious. Like, funnily enough, in the Smite community. They announced that specifically this skin wasn't being ported to Smite 2, even though it's a fan favorite or whatever, because they thought it was kind of like, they were like, oh, it's kind of weird, whatever. Someone very specifically came out a few days ago on Twitter and was like, oh, good. It's a good thing they're not porting this over. This skin always felt kind of weird and oddly kind of racist, blah, blah, blah. And like every single major black person in the Smite community came forward and was like, why the fuck is a white person telling me that my favorite skin is racist? Like it had nothing to do with race until he brought it. Like it was a whole conundrum of things. Like this person essentially got canceled for saying something like that. So it's really funny that specifically someone voiced this skin the week that we're talking about this show. Like what a weird coincidence there.
Full circle, baby.
Yeah, the universe is not that big, right? Unless you're in Astra Lost in space, and that's 5,000 light years away.
It wasn't that big.
It's very small.
They got there extremely easily.
I will also say that the thing about Ulgar that actually grinds my gears the most is that Ulgar didn't have to be from the Bronx. The dude's last name is German. He could have been German. He looks German. You could have found somebody to make a German accent, and you made him from the Bronx. Now, the whole thing where, some of the Germans migrated over to America, yeah, that makes sense. But also, like, dude.
I don't know. I didn't mind it specifically, though. Like, obviously, it was a little deeper for a voice, but, like,
dude, his 10-year-old self had sounded like he smacked 2 packs a day.
Okay, whatever, man.
About Ulgar.
Yeah.
Is that cop at the end his brother? Because he had the same picture of them in his phone for some reason, but then they just never brought it up.
I didn't even notice that.
His brother's dead, right?
He was saying that the whole time, but the cop was looking at his phone and he had his background was Ulgar and his older brother.
Well, maybe it was an old photo, and then the cop finally. Because
Is
the
there
cop
more
was.
anime or manga to this rather than the anime covers. Maybe
I don't know.
Is there a
I
season 2 that could have happened. and
There's only
didn't?
49 chapters. Seems pretty short.
the way I took it was that it was the cop that wanted to try to solve the issue that happened with his first brother
Yep.
or his oldest
Maybe it was
brother.
his gay lover.
I think
I think they
that
were
makes the
just-
most sense.
They were just
Sarah's on my recently. Cops are gay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that show. Oh, that show's so fun. Glad all you guys finally watched it. Would have been a great watch club show to talk about, but I guess no one likes the shows that I dominate, so that's fine.
Oh my god, bro!
You did it for Shark Tank. That's more or less the same thing.
It really is. I'm glad it finally bit for some people, I guess. No, I'm just playing. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like Ulgar's voice though, like it really, is it not the same thing as like in the 4Kids dub of Yu-Gi-Oh? Joey Wheeler sounding like he's from Brooklyn Rage,
that's because Joey Wheeler canonically is from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and this guy is just some random kid from this amalgamation of every single country ever.
Yes,
in the old world, it put into the new world. I don't know, like I didn't find it like characters have deep voices. Sometimes it was silly, but like.
A lot of times they have, like, for different Japanese accents or dialects, there are like a country accent often on a dub often coincides with
A Japanese dialect.
what's that dialect that
Kansai
the one
or whatever.
yeah
Kansai dialect.
yeah Kansai, the one everyone knows. So like that'll often be someone with like a southern accent sort of thing, and then there's one like some sort of like metropolitan. They'll do like the Cali accent for it. They don't always match up, but they like kind of do. I don't know what Brooklyn is.
I'm walking here.
Yes,
it's really side talk. Anytime you watch a side talk video, yeah, it's very similar.
You meant in terms of
Big
Japanese
bold.
accent?
I do actually know what Brooklyn is. I'm a big Lana Del Rey fan.
It's because it's Joey. Joey is meant to speak without honorifics, and he sounds informal and rude, like all.
Yeah,
people
so-
from New York.
That could be how what's his Ogre talks, because he's like, I'm all brash as I'm from the streets and I'm not talking with honorifics and that's, I need to get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna retire in one day.
I'm gonna be a journalist. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm gonna be a journalist.
I'm gonna journalist is like the world's highest calling. The way he talks about it.
That Pete, I was laughing so hard.
Hey.
Whenever he was like, "If you want, I can help you out." I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm gonna be a journalist.
Yo, Jay, did you notice that he said that he was gonna be a journalist in this show?
No, I missed.
Oh, dude, you should. Oh man,
You telling me that helped me out a lot.
Wait, what's he gonna be?
he's gonna be a journalist.
A
Oh
journalist.
shit! You guys just don't like him because he looks like Kirito and acts like Kirito. That's what.
Honestly, Sarazama did not help him because the gun wielding beanie wear was much.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Same shit.
It's-
Do we want to shift to a Sarazanmai watch club? I vote
Absolutely
all
not.
in favor. 1 vote needed. I vote in favor. Yay!
I scored them the same, so I'm indifferent.
I would love. I scored Cyrus on my higher.
I scored Sarazama higher too.
I would love
Good.
to have a discussion, Pat, on why Sarazanmai is more complicated than Yurikuma Arashi. Because there is more than one type of animal to worry about, and plates and boxes are more or less the same metaphor. Anyways, that's my source on. Sorry,
I think it was easier to digest. I wouldn't say it was more. I don't remember saying it was more complicated. I think maybe I was taking the piss when we were having that conversation. But
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
Sarazama is
seriously
easier to digest because it gets all up in your guts. If you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking.
Mhm.
Yep.
It certainly does.
Cap
Like
pride,
a
baby.
platypus.
Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry, we have gone off rails and it has been fun. Much like the show occasionally gets off of rails. Another thing that I wanted to talk about before we sort of get to the meat and potatoes of this entire show.
We're
is
40 minutes in. We should probably
Yeah.
get to the meat and
We're
That's
fine.
fair. We'll tackle this like really quick. I just wanted to like get a quick thought on like how people liked like the planet hopping aspect. Like, did the worlds feel distinct enough to you? Did they feel too samey? I can honestly see it going either way. Pete, you're gonna start us off because I remember you saying something that vaguely relates to this. You praise the sort of monster of the week aspect of this, and in many ways, it's like survival on Planet of the Week, right?
Yeah.
So hit us with your thoughts on the menagerie of planets.
Yeah, it's more along the lines of like I'm not looking for like this super deep ecosystem. The fact that they like just Apollo 11 a food machine thing to be like yummy or not yummy. It's just like
that was the most
I
ridiculous
was like,
thing.
yeah, it's like at that point I knew it's just like it's not going to be an issue. But like
Right.
That was where the convenience is truly.
yeah,
started.
that was just like he's just like, yeah, I went to the bathroom and I made this. It's like, oh, sick, dude. That thing is like incredible. Like literally like a life-changing device for humanity. It's like, yeah, I just, I whipped it up in the back. It's whatever. No big deal. But
Maybe
just
a
going to
lot
like
of scratch.
I knew like each planet was gonna have like a problem or whatever, and it did that, and then really wasn't like super high stakes. And yeah, I mean, I think the key word that people have been using, and I think it fits perfectly, is it's just campy. It's just like fine and fun. Like I don't need this brilliant, like thought out. I don't know what's the game where you No Man's Sky, is that where you like go from like world to world or whatever?
I literally told Simone because she was talking about how much she liked the plan hopping. I was like, you got to play No Man's.
Yeah, it's just like
I was
yeah,
like,
they're playing No Man's Sky. It's like
100%.
it's fine. It's like this one has trees. This one has you can
Fungus that are trees.
you can live within the equator. Otherwise, you either burn to death or freeze to death. It's like okay, cool. Like it's simple, but it gets to the point, and it's like it's fine. So I liked it. It was I think it was a cool part of like adding to another mystery just outside of who's the suspicious one that they have to deal with these environmental factors. So yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too, especially because, and now I just thought of this. So here's something that explains a plot contrivance or whatever. It makes sense that they have this like mapped out idea of planets to get there, because for the first spaceship to have discovered the new planet, the one that they're trying to get back to, but for their eyes, getting back to Earth, so to speak, they would have had to planet hopped in that same ship all the way to this one in the first place to like discover the new planet or whatever. So it makes sense that they're able to, in theory, make it from planet to planet and have a mapped out way to get there. I don't know if what I said just made sense, but in my head it did. So cool.
That's all that matters, right?
Well, it's like Interstellar, like they are one of the
Don't compare it to Interstellar.
I was thinking that
Come on.
that like obviously it's not as good or as scientifically based in real science, like what Pete said. That thing, once that device came out, I was just kind of like, oh my god, like this shows like, all right, cool. The science in this is not real.
They didn't.
Let's have fun with it.
By the way, they didn't discover Astra in that way. They just found Astra. The scientists just found it with like a telescope or something. Because it's 5,000 light years away from Earth. They wouldn't have been able to discover it and then come back without just using wormholes to begin with.
But that's how the ships got like they moved. That's what the purpose of those ships were. Like that's why the Russian lady was out there trying to discover a new planet with her crew. They were trying to discover new planets. That's how they initially were doing it, I thought. And then they
did mention that the ships drive faster than light speed too.
Yes, that's how many light years that they travel faster than. That's what they go into like hyperspace essentially, like in Star Wars, and travel faster than light. I thought the different biomes were fun. I liked, like you said, P. I think that was a really good way to put it. Like Monster Planet of the Week. Really funny that there was just a random beach episode. like that was a very 2010s anime of it to like just have everyone goes to the beach episode, like slice of lifey. But I thought that the different obstacles they faced were cool too, because they again had to use their different skill sets to survive in those different situations. Like the singing one was really stupid, but hey, whatever. She sang them to help.
Can we talk about her for a second, actually?
yeah, sure.
Because I thought she was going to be the traitor.
I did.
Oh, interesting.
I could see that. I thought she might be I didn't really know who I thought was the front runner, but I could see her being like just the dark. She doesn't say anything. She's the traitor.
Who it wasn't going to be. There was a 0% chance it was ever Ulgar once he had the gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Had the gun the first time. I was like, well, he's not it.
But I also
0% chance.
I thought it was a 0% chance it was Singing Girl too.
I thought that's why she was being so sad.
Well,
honestly.
so because they were showing her be sad, it was never going to be her.
Well,
Because they were like, she's distant and not a part of the group.
yeah, I guess. But whenever her mom was like, you can't do, like, her mom showed up in her head and was like, you can't even do anything right. I thought that was about her failing to kill
Oh,
him,
okay.
and that was her doing that to herself for that.
Yeah.
But after that, like, I think that once became clear she wasn't doing shit at all in the plot after she sings her song. She does not do anything. She is the one character who I know she's meant to be a shy character and everything, but the whole point is that she like cuts her hair or whatever and becomes open and likes everybody and is part of the family. She should be talking and doing more stuff. In reality, what kind of got shown is that, like, and I'm not trying to be like her mom here, but she really did not contribute basically anything to what was going on.
I will
In fact,
say,
all she did was
she's a
take
singer.
up.
She smiled and had big tits and could sing.
I
Like,
was
that's
just about
really
to
all
say,
she did in the show.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
them thangs were taking up a lot of the food.
Yeah, they
source, I'm
were.
sure.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, and then they kept, and she also links into like the fan service that was oddly pervasive at the beginning of the show and then
Yeah.
disappears like halfway through.
Pete's
Which
theory becomes truer every day.
But usually
Yeah.
but with Pete's theory, usually it's like the first 3 episodes where it stopped. This was like the first 6.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
stopped.
Maybe it was the
And
first.
I wonder if they just ran
couple
out of
cha-
budget.
Yeah, I would say. Or
Yeah,
maybe it was the
like-
first couple
This was a
chapters of the
Taisho
manga.
award. This was a Taisho manga award winner.
It
So,
was.
like, it's not like it was going in with no, like, usually that's for manga that don't have like hype or anime that don't have any hype behind them. I don't know. Like, it just felt kind of weird to me, is all, I guess. Yeah, and I just didn't like Yoonghwa, like her. I wanted more for her because I thought she was a pretty interesting character at the beginning, and then she just literally becomes part of the background.
She made the mistake of having her arc finished in like episode 3. And then they just never got around to it again.
Yeah. Kat, you had something else about the planet hopping. Sorry, to
My bad, Kat.
link our ways
Yeah.
back. No. Conversation
So-
flows naturally. Like
So the
Wata.
thing,
in
so the
space.
thing about
I'm sorry, Kat. No.
you died.
It flows so naturally that we can't even do a transition right because of me. So there. So, all right, Kat.
You are
go.
okay.
So the
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
about
you're screwing it
Yuha's
up.
giant manga. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
God. So the thing about the planet hopping was, I think, one of the better things that this show did, because it was, I think it made the different planets interesting enough and very different in the types of food chains that they had. I didn't think it was like super well thought out, but I thought it was really interesting. Especially the mushroom one being that the mushrooms were fairly were the major, like, not the majority, but the top of the food chain when it
Apex
came to it.
Predator. Yeah.
They're the apex predator, and they were almost they were definitely like torturous. I thought that was very interesting and fun, but yeah, I feel like that was probably the thing that I enjoyed the most about the show, personally.
Yeah, the different food chains and the different biomes and things that I thought they did a pretty good job of showing that off on different planets. And like, they weren't able to just store a bunch of food on one planet and go with it. I thought that was pretty cool. I really liked that. Yep. Go ahead, Kat. Sorry.
I will say one of my grievances is with that Paradise episode, the one that is literally labeled Paradise, where they're on that island that has all the food. Why is there food? I don't think they found any. Did they find wildlife?
Yeah, there's birds.
I mean, they found fruit.
Oh,
they hunt
okay, there's
birds and they hunt fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fish I can understand. The birds.
They live in trees.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, that grievance is fine. All right.
I think that the thing about like that is that, like, even if there weren't animals or whatever, like, trees still need a way to drop their seeds or what have you.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't be fruit exactly. It would probably just be nuts instead, but it's not like they really gave a shit about physics. Why would they care about biology?
It's true.
Was when they were in zero gravity and the singer girl starts choking to death? Is that what would actually happen? That's pretty cool if it is.
Yes.
Oh,
That
that's
is
sick.
actually how
Oh,
it works.
couldn't she in theory just like move her head back and then it would just stay there and it would come out? I don't like either way. I just thought I thought that scene was really cool. How it like was like, oh my god, this is like actual zero gravity physics
Wouldn't it
to some degree.
adhere to her saliva in her mouth?
Well, then
Yeah,
wouldn't she be able to
water-
spit it out though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it had to be caught like in her throat. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Water droplets in general are dangerous in space, let alone like there was a story in 2013 of a NASA astronaut whose helmet filled with floating water droplets and they almost choked.
Makes sense
They
because
had
like
hear
breathing
or
in would
speak.
suck in all of the water and then it would go into their lungs. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh god, space is so sick. Sometimes. I don't know. I'm not normally big into like
the
space
one
travel
thing
stories.
they got like accurate. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of them floating in space scenes because that one at the beginning was
Oh,
super
that was really
intense
cool.
and dope.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job with that actually.
Reminded me of that movie with George Clooney and
And Sandra Bullock, I think.
Gravity?
was it Passenger? No, Gravity.
Gravity. Yes.
Like, oh, that movie was sick. Even though that movie also was like laughably, like, not real,
Yeah.
not science, but it was.
Dude, we should
They're
get
fun.
Neil deGrasse Tyson to watch Astra Lost in Space and
No,
come
like
on the pod.
yeah, like CinemaSins did with Interstellar, and just have them like be like, this is actually kind of correct, like based on
Of course.
theoretical physics.
Yes, you could make a yummy detector on a space.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was his thing.
I've
Okay.
done it before.
Yeah, that
Um,
thing was pretty ridiculous. I agree. But also, like, it was somewhat based in like the idea. The way I took it wasn't that he was just like, oh, I invented this brand new thing that didn't exist. It was more like I used the science that I've learned living in our futuristic society to adapt something, which, of course, again, super ridiculous
But
and
wouldn't
dumb.
they have had that with them and have?
You would think
I feel
so.
like if it's something that they had the capability of making before, somebody probably would have done it. Especially because, like, them going to MICPA, which is just an anagram for camp, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever realized that. Them going to MICPA was just a like it's a yearly thing that they send a bunch of students out to do or whatever, right? So like I don't know. I think that was just him making.
they might not need one because of that, because they know what planet they're going to.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's meant to be for practice though. It's
No, but
practice for going into space. Like you give it to them so they can LARP it.
But also, the
Like
ship
Bear
that
Grylls.
they ended up on was from 100 years in the past,
Bear Grylls is
which is why it didn't have that technology on it. It wasn't the same ship that they started on.
Oh yeah, I thought you were
But
talking
they
about the
had
one that they
luggage
found,
too,
but
though,
yeah.
is the thing. They made a point to grab as much luggage as they could. So
Mhm. I don't know.
I think that it was a new thing. It's obviously not super important, but
No, I don't know. I took it as like, oh, he made it from the stuff that was left over on the ship that maybe the technology wasn't unified into this. I don't know. It was very ridiculous, no matter what argument you make. But again, so was like most of the space wormholes, pretty ridiculous, right? Like, or controlling them in the way that they do. Spacesuits, the way that they have them, still not even close to being accurate.
Okay, I want to
clarify. Like ridiculous though that you can kind of say they do that shit.
Yeah, I guess I would like to. Let's get into the things that happen in this show that make it terrible, objectively. So it is not the existence of this technology, at least for me. It's not wormholes existing. That's every other sci-fi show, movie, whatever. It's very useful if you want to get your characters from one place to another. And they're like kind of plausible or whatever. I don't know. To me, it's stuff like, has anyone seen the movie Prometheus?
The Alien.
Yes, but I know the
Alien series. Yeah, I hate that movie. It's awful.
Oh,
and part of the reason I hate it, and in fact, a very large part of the reason I hate it, is that their PhD xenobiologist takes his fucking helmet off. And they did the same thing, and it got them screwed. And they never learned their lesson. And I get the animators don't want to draw stuff, but you don't know what the biome is like here. You don't know anything. Like, just because it has like breathable amounts of oxygen doesn't mean you won't die from some viral infection 10 seconds later. Also, let alone, what are you introducing to the ecosystem, you psychopaths? Like,
Yeah, paradise? Not anymore.
yeah.
May I suggest a counterpoint to both of those things?
Sure.
The ship could have sensors that tell them whatever you would want to call it. I agree too, by the way, that it's stupid of them to take things off. My counter argument to that would be they're kids, they're dumb, they're stupid. And I also think that your answer is more likely if they didn't want to animate them with the helmets and suits on the whole time. But like, too, like, wouldn't the ship that's meant to discover new biomes, meant to discover new planets, have something that could say, hey, this is very similar to Earth's breathable atmosphere. It's safe to breathe without a helmet on.
100%. That is not my concern. My concern is about the biology, right? Like, what happened when you're like same planet, right? Europeans moving one continent over, right? Both continents had massive epidemics, right? With like a syphilis breakout in Europe and a smallpox breakout in the Americas. It's like War of the Worlds. That's a classic one too, right? Aliens invade Earth. And then they're allergic to water or whatever.
Just by syphilis, you mean the English disease, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, cool.
Prince Henry the whatever. King Henry the whatever.
8th.
Yeah. That makes sense. That tracks. So it's like, he has a thing to show if things are like edible or not. That is great. Again, we've admitted that's a plot contrivance, whatever. But it's stuff like the spores that almost kill them are sort of what I'm talking about, where you have like a virus or a fungus or bacterium or whatever that are native to that planet that you have no ecosystem or you have like no immune system or whatever against. And then conversely, you are introducing an infinity amount of different types of microbes and everything by being in that planet and not being in a sterile environment. Now, a large part of my job is carrying a bacterial infection. So cross-contamination, all of that. So maybe I'm just, oh my God, wear your PPE, gown up. What are you doing? We totally will have to throw this away. We're wasting all of this. But like, that was like, and it wasn't so much the first time they did it, insofar as like, they then continued to do it. They continued to not put their helmets on and stuff. But that was like a minor detail. But I just want to make abundantly clear the fact that the magical technology things exist is not at all my issue with the show. It is how people interact with things, and especially the explanation of like where that missing time went and stuff, because that makes no sense. But we can continue if anyone has.
Well, that's probably a good thing to go on, right? Is the idea that every single person in an entire generation of the planet would agree to just lie like that? Is that what you're getting?
Moon level was fake. That's worse than saying the moon landing was faked because of the number of people that would have to be in on that and just agree to.
Well, just
the conspiracy. Yeah,
photos. At least one kid who was like, like that would have been great for Ulgar. Have him say, like, he had my older brother always said adults lied about stuff. Have him have gone into some amount of detail about that. Have it be like some like repressed memory he has that his brother told him and then regretted and was like shaking him and like saying like, forget that I fucking told you this because they're going to kill you if I told you or something like that.
Really quick though, because I think we're going to talk about this for a minute and we're getting kind of late, but Pete, you said you had fun with a lot of this stuff. So if it's okay, I would like to hear Pete talk about this and then us get into our larger.
It's not okay.
It's okay. I was about to say it's not okay.
Okay. Fuck. Sorry, Pete.
Continue. It's all good.
No.
I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But like, what would you what did you like other than probably the stuff we've already brought up a tiny bit at least? Like, what was some of the stuff that you really liked in the show
or thought was fun or whatever?
Actually, like, okay, so like I agree with like the plot twist. I don't think that they were like anything crazy, but I know how you guys are breaking down like the ending with like removal of data from all of the other pre-existing Earth shit that we had that we transferred over here and all that stuff. I thought it was just cool and fascinating that like that's the approach that they went with, because like I could like obviously I'm just picturing in my head, but like if that was ever the case, like I could see like war breaking out within the like with the last couple of years left of Earth, and like how they explained like the Cuban Missile Crisis in one timeline versus, I guess it's the same timeline, but like how it was sort of like taught on two different generations. I just thought like that concept was like really fun. Like I didn't dig into whether it was like logical or anything. It's just like it was more like the approach that they went with, to me, made sense. It's like what is it? Like the execution wasn't there, but like what they were going for, I think on paper sounds really cool. And like I had a lot of fun with like them figuring it out at the same time. I thought like that, like deduction of reasoning between both people, because I was thinking it was like, because you know how she was like 112 years in there? I thought she was like 2,000 something years. I thought like
that would
I did
make
too.
way more sense.
Because like I thought like it was add Astra 2000 whatever, and they started year 0 there when they transferred from Earth. Like I thought that would make more sense in the timeline.
They said CE, and I was like, they're gonna say like CE was like 2,000 years ago when they swapped over or something. Like that would have made. I agree with you wholeheartly. That would have made so much more sense.
I will say that it's probably because AD is after the death of Jesus Christ. That type of thing.
Anno Dominium.
Or whatever.
Year of our Lord.
They also, I guess, they don't know who. They did say they don't know who God is, so that's probably why they would.
Yeah,
you can have AD without knowing who God is. Come on.
It was also really cool, though. I thought
I liked that. I said it was based.
I thought it was
like,
a really cool.
That's my kids.
It was a really cool idea that like, like what Pete was saying. I agree. Like, it's dumb. It's a crazy thing to try to like set up and pretend happened, because just the deletion or removal of religion alone from history would not have gone over well with an entire generation of people, right?
Never happened.
It would have never happened.
You would have had to get everyone to agree to stop
practicing
being religion at the same time.
And also observing history and everything and the old world and whatever. It's completely impossible.
They listen to facts and logic, bro.
But they went with it, and I thought that was kind of fun, as absurd as it was. And I agree that is a huge plot hole, and it's stupid. But I thought the fact that but the way that they came across, like, and pieced together, like that whole sequence where they were just talking to each other and like piecing it together from their two different perspectives, I thought was really cool. The reveal that Astra was their planet, not Earth, was pretty cool. You know, like it explained a lot of things. And I thought it all tied together.
Yeah. I thought that was great, but it doesn't tie together because none of it makes any sense after that fact. How we got here doesn't make any sense.
Well, I guess though, like, that's the point.
One of them was like, not one of them said, it's like it's the name of our planet when they get to Astra.
Like,
because if you came across a spaceship and it was called Earth, you would damn sure be like, that's weird. The spaceship is called Earth. Or if you named it Earth, you'd be like, it's weird you're calling the spaceship Earth.
Okay, but like the way that ties into what the show was trying to say, though, I think, and what they tried to set up, that, if we deleted religion, we deleted this, blah, blah, blah. That's a very common argument, right? For a lot of people that believe in the unification of Earth, or like the people, whatever, rather than having like nations were deleted or unified, religion was removed, other languages were removed. That's usually described as in like a utopian setting, right? Like that's usually something. And the whole point of this show, or that being part of the show, and then the ending of the show, or the final arc, whatever you'd want to say, was that it's not, even though it may be viewed as a perfect society, it's not a perfect society. And that was like the point that they were trying to make. Can you what? Sorry?
Can I cook for a second?
Yeah.
Paulina is going to lead to the end of Astra as a planet, because she is going to go back. She's religious. She's Russian. Russians are a pretty religious people. She's probably Orthodox. She's going to go back. She's a history teacher. She's going to start mixing in religious history with regular history. And she can define literally all of Earth's history, which is the origin of these people. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Paulina became like a cult leader or something when she got back, even if inadvertently through her knowledge of religion.
They show her become a university professor, and like the whole point is
I know,
when
I
they
get that. I get that. I'm but you tell me you've never seen a university professor that's in on some fuck shit?
no, of course, and I'm not saying that. No, but I guess my point is like they do show that. The whole point is that they get back, and they're like, "Hey, we can't keep this lie up anymore. We're going to bring back the history of the old planet,
they had most of it.
Well, they
Yeah,
have it
and
saved
then-
like
and then
behind
you
the
know what's gonna
walls.
happen? The people who are in charge are gonna be like, "Damn, the history of the old planet, huh? What's this? This Paulina, what's this thing you're describing about your old country? How do you pronounce it? Oligarchy? That sounds pretty cool. Would you like to join us as an oligarch, Paulina? And you can tell the alternate history that we want you to do." And she'll be like, "Dos vidanya." And then it's over. It's literally over. She's Paulina Putin.
Well, but I think that was the point of the show, is that the characters had figured out that the perfect world that they were living in wasn't perfect, and that the solution is to do the best.
That were dicks, honestly.
But they're all in on knowing that the things that the world can't just live in this like utopian, not knowing what's going on, like blind to the reality world. So the whole point is that they're spreading the words.
Right choice, actually, low key.
I don't know. So
you killed me on it, Pat.
No, I mean, you're kind of right. Like, genuinely, from the perspective of the current planet, yeah, killing them would be the right choice, even in that moment.
Miles, is this where you go into the ones who look away? Or
I could talk. Have you read that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I'll talk about that maybe at the end. But for me, it was more like, you know, that Dr. Evil scene where he's like frozen for a bit and he just like doesn't know what currency is worth anymore. So he's like $10 million, and they're like, that's still not enough. Like 1 million wasn't enough, and like 10 million isn't enough. They're all like, you got to say a bigger number. That's what the author of this did. Because it was like, oh my God, it's been 20 years since we changed planets. It would be impossible to cover that up. It's been 100 years. Which is just like a very short amount of time. There's still people alive. There's like, you know, I don't know. It's like anyone who, they even say at the end, a lot of people had caught on to how none of this made any sense, because of course you would. You would, if you ever looked at a photo of the sky from 1970 or whatever, you'd be like, why do these constellations not exist?
I have something with this. I have something
Okay.
with this. Because so like in like their world, at least how it's perceived through our lens or whatever, like Astra is like, you know, that meme where it's just like what the world would be like if Elon didn't own Twitter or something like that. It's like that. So like if you were living in a society where it's like it seems like a euphoria or a utopia, whatever.
A euphoric utopia.
Yes, exactly. Like, would you question something that would possibly disrupt what you're having? Because I think that was kind of cool, where it's like, you know, I might let some things go if I had like universal healthcare or something.
This is perfect. This is perfect for my tie-in to Ursula K. Le Guin's the ones who walk away from Omelas, which is an award-winning short story from the 70s. Ursula is amazing. So in this, there is a utopian society where everything is good, and then halfway through that, she chimes in as the author and is basically like, you don't believe me? Like you can't buy the fact that there's a utopia? You think there has to be a cost? Okay, I'll give you a cost. And so on their 10th birthday or fucking whatever, everyone who lives in Omelas, which, Jay, the reason I was saying that the backwards name was maybe a reference is because, one, the themes of these two stories are very similar, as Pat was pointing out. And then two, that's just Salem, Oregon backwards. She was just driving and saw like Salem, Oregon, and then Omelas, and was like, that's the name of the town. Anyways, so during coming of age birthday, they have to go and they have to see this pit. And in this pit, there is like one child who is barely kept alive and lives in squalor and filth and like just an awful conditions, and this is to remind them of how good they have it, and it is like essential to their utopia. If this were to go away, then the utopia would fall. And so, like, is it worth it to have this one person who is like a sacrifice against their will, yada yada yada? Some people see it and just leave society. No one knows what happens to them, and it genuinely reminded me of this a lot, in the same way that they're like, is it worth having this utopia to have these things covered up? You know, and that's like the question these kids are asking. And, you know, I do think that's an interesting question. I like the general idea of it. And it sounds like Pat and Pete were just like, fuck it, there are issues with this, but who cares? It is a cool idea. To me, it's just like anyone who spent 5 minutes reading a book would accidentally figure this out. And like, because like the moon isn't there. There's no moon. How would they do that? How would that happen?
They don't bring all. They say in the show that all of the stuff from the old world that isn't from the new society and the new planet that they're on is behind the walls of the king. The king is the only one who like knows and has access to like that archive of all that stuff.
No one kept
I know.
a photo.
Again, I agree. It's dumb. It's
that's
really.
my
But
issue.
once you accept that, that's
We know
cool.
there are
Like
people who have fled from the country from with behind the walls and shit like that. Like I just think that was like it's really stupid. It's a stupid plot point, but like the way they tried to justify it was cool enough that I was like, oh, that's cool. Like the 100 years being written out of history and are in history, like with the Third World War and like this. And I thought that was like a cool, clever connection that they made there. And I agree, it's ridiculous and hard to believe. But like again, like what Pete was saying, like in a utopian world, why would you question where your food comes from if you don't know where, like, what is suffering to create that food? You know, like you wouldn't know.
Curiosity.
I mean,
there's some people who just don't
like,
care though.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying everyone ever would immediately figure this out. I just mean people would. It would happen. And I guess before we get to our
eat meat all the time.
our final thoughts, my last issue with this is just light these fucking clones on fire. Open up a wormhole and throw the charred corpses through it. The end.
Okay.
It's just
They just took the most difficult way of raising these clones. Like, why didn't you just stick them in a vat or something?
Yeah, without a brain or
like
whatever,
like a normal evil scientist.
Who knows?
Maybe the pseudoscience is that their brains had to be developed in a way that their memories would be able to fit into that brain and exist in that brain. And what maybe that's what
you're carrying too much water for this.
I'm just trying to justify why like the pseudoscience makes sense. And like,
watch, by the way, same author.
Like, I think it makes. I think like again, most of the pseudoscience is absurd in the sense that it's not based in our reality, but in the world that they establish, it's real enough. 100%. It seems like to me.
So I agree with the premise of what you're saying, but the issue with that is that pseudoscience, it's still like it's pseudoscience. There's nothing like this is, and it's not a knock against it necessarily. I like a lot of stuff like this. This is more or less like space fantasy. And again, nothing against that. It's cool. Like the wormhole is maybe the one sci-fi aspect of it, I guess. I don't know. And
I mean,
there's
some of the biology stuff is sci-fi. Like it doesn't need to be fucking, maybe it's soft sci-fi or whatever. And like the cloning stuff is sci-fi. The issue is that I think it's applied a little inconsistently. Some people are having them train for their purpose, i.e. the decathlete and stuff. Some of them are having them not do anything. And they talk about the mentality of that a bit. It's, I don't know. I kind of agree with Pat here. Anyways, that's the show.
Yeah, let's do our closing thoughts and final scores. Miles, what have you got?
Yeah, the show is fun. It's not exactly well put together or anything. If you think about it too much, there are certainly issues. But I think the meat and potatoes of this is the cast and the adventures and stuff that they go through. And I think that is executed very well. So to me, this is like a very fun 7, is what I'm going to give it. So
Seven. All right.
out of 10.
All right. Kat, what about you?
So for me, this show does some good things, but I don't think this show is good. There are some things that I like about the show, but I don't like the show. This show reminds me a lot about another show that I watched when it was first coming out in fall 2019, called High School Prodigies Have It Easy Even in Another World.
God, that show's ass.
Its show is complete ass. I'm not saying that this show is as bad as that show, but like the tropiness of the characters and the interpersonal connections between the characters seems very, very similar, and it gives me a sense of dread even after like listening or watching the show. Excuse me. There were parts of the show and there were episodes that I really enjoyed, like the episode where, you know, Ulgar pulled the gun on the dude or person, and
You can say dude. Luca identifies as male.
okay, on the dude, and then like the episode where Charles got caught, and or I guess half the episode where Charles got caught and was trying to kill them all. Like that was cool. I kind of liked it, but other than that, like like honestly, for me, this show is a 5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Okay. 5 out of 10 from Kat. Jay, what about you?
I'll make it short and sweet. Highlights of this show. The relationship between the cast of characters was done really well. I liked watching it develop quite a bit. In spite of me picking them apart, I actually really did like the twist. I just think that they could have gone a bit further with a couple of them. Like the time twist, I do genuinely think it should have been a longer period of time Polino was asleep for. It just seems weird that it's 100 years. That's all. And I also think that the environmental design in this was really well done. I think that if you're going to do a show about planet hopping, you need to either make it very realistic and sort of informative, or you need to go fully wacky with it, like a, you know, No Man's Sky or something like that. And they obviously did the second one, and I appreciate that. And the last highlight of the show, probably my favorite moment of the show, whenever I loved the intersex representation with Luca, especially with it leading up to the line of like Ulgar and like showing Luca and Ulgar's relationship, and Luca like grabs Ulgar by the shirt and his cleavage comes out a little bit, and Luca just goes, "Can we leave them out of this?" And he drops it. And I thought like that got a very hearty chuckle out of both me and Simone, because that's very Simone coded. Lowlights of the show, I think that, again, this whole plot is just a bucket of conveniences. If you're somebody who doesn't care about that sort of thing, good for you. And I'm happy for you, but personally, it does bother me. I think that the music was legitimately nothing to write home about at all in this show. Like, I couldn't tell you a single scene, like what the background music in it sounded like at all. And like the OP and ED, also nothing to write home about. I also think that the dub was pretty bad. Like we talked about it earlier, but I don't really take points off for bad dubs because I don't think that it has anything to do with the anime itself. So for me, overall, this show is a 6 out of 10.
Right. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this show. I thought if you went into it sort of the way I went into it, thinking that this was a Scooby-Doo show instead of Knives Out, I think it was a much funner ride. I hated the dub. It legit docked points from me. I had more issues getting pulled out of the scene with terrible voice acting compared to ridiculous plot holes. It's just one of those things where I heard something just so out of place. I'm just like, I don't want to be involved in this show anymore. Specifically Ulgar and Yoonha. I did not like them. I did not like their characters in general, and I also didn't like their voice actors. Really liked the last episode. I think it was a lot of fun. I just like the conceptual like what you are thinking of on how to wrap up the story and have like these twists. I thought was super fun, unique. I like the idea of like sort of, you know, like the confrontations with Earth prior to then them establishing Astra, and then sort of post that was like a really fun timeline within that last episode. Just a lot of fun, nothing to write home about, but it was a fun 7.
7. All right. And yeah, I was somewhere in like the 7.5 and to 8 range. And I think how much fun I had with it was drives me up to an 8. So I'm giving Astra Lost in Space an 8. I think everyone else pretty much covered everything that I wanted to highlight in my closing thoughts. I agree with Jay that the music was not very notable at all. There was actually like a sound effect that kind of sounded like the Among Us loading in sound. The like I don't know, for whatever reason I kept thinking of that while we were watching. I like what they were trying to do, and I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would going into it. So maybe that's why I'm giving it a higher score. Yeah, so we ended up with a final aggregate score of 6.6 between all of us, which is a whole 1.5 below Mal. This is an outlier, as we might call it, for sure, compared to our usual. We're usually within like a half to a point on Mal. But yeah, that wraps up Astra Lost in Space. Miles, what are we watching 2 weeks from now?
Okay, in third place, we have a tie between the and this is a very close week, by the way. Between the Hellsing movie or show or whatever was nominated, I wasn't here.
Show.
And Kino no Tabi, which I don't know what that is, but it was getting a lot of support. And because I missed that one episode, I was like, why the hell do people want to watch this thing that I've never heard of? And it's just because I missed the episode. In second place, as is tradition, we have High School of the Dead.
Another legacy point.
Getting another legacy point, bringing its total up to 7. Pete, you have $5 on the line. Can you guess what show won?
Undead Girl Murder Farce?
It is Maidens of their Savage Season. That is what we will be watching. I've nominated that probably a dozen times, and it like always does kind of mid. I do not know why it got support this time, but I would like to thank everyone who supported it.
That's my favorite jack-off scene.
I'm excited to watch it. Can't wait. Anyway, so that is what we are doing for next time. And now I hand the show over to Pat. So Pat can ask us what we are nominating this time. Great.
Hi, guys. My name is Pat. I'm here to ask what we are nominating for next time. Just a peek behind the curtain for all of our listeners. We will be nominating 2 cores, not this week, but next week. So if you want us to talk about a specific 2 core, you should comment it, and maybe that'll influence one of us into nominating it. Because I actually really don't know what I'm going to nominate for the 2 core at this point. At least I don't. I assume some of us do. Some of us probably don't.
I know what I'm doing.
No,
Well, maybe you can influence me and potentially Miles into what we might be nominating for our 2 core next week. So come join the Discord, come comment, do whatever. Sick plug, Pat. Thanks, Pat. There we go. Miles, what show are you nominating for this 1 core episode coming up?
He doesn't know.
Yes, I do. And did I find out 10 seconds ago?
I can tell by your webcam.
Yeah, but I did. And I'm going to be nominating a show that I've nominated before that did terribly, but I needed to fix something, so Pete wouldn't make fun of me, and he did anyway. I'm going to be nominating Dance Soul.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, that show's so good.
Yeah. The MAPPA Performing Arts Drama.
Oh, my God. It has one of my favorite antagonists in that show.
Well, be sure to vote for it, Pete.
I will. It depends if I haven't seen any of the other shows.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, what about you?
I was hoping that Hellsing won. I'm actually a little surprised that it didn't. But
how are you surprised? High School of the Dead has like 47 legacy points.
Yeah, but it's High School of the Dead.
Yeah, he gets second place every week.
This is like one of the things.
It
lost by half a point last time.
It lost by half a point last week, and without legacy points, it would have lost. Well, I guess Maidens won by technically 2 points, including all of its legacy points. But it would have tied
But if Maidens didn't have legacy points, if it was just like a show that had been nommed, it would have won. It has been a very unlucky show. I want to give a quick shout out to this community member. They know who they are. I don't want to out them.
Do it.
They hate High School of the Dead. And so for voting, when High School of the Dead is there, they will list every show, regardless of how many we're nominating, except for High School of the Dead, which they leave off the list.
That's so base. That's so funny. As long as they don't do that to my show, that's so
What
funny.
what is Cat nominating?
Yeah, apparently.
I'm nominating Helsing again.
Okay, and did you nominate what show, movie thing?
Just Helsing.
It's just Helsing, the
Okay,
original.
just Helsing. Okay,
It's in the pin, by the way, Miles, if you need to find it. Jay, what about you?
that
What are
makes
you
so much
nominating?
sense.
So last week I nominated something that was pure cinema, or Kino as people might call it. I nominated Kino's Journey, which is an all-time classic and like the highest rated anime of each year. This time I'm nominating something that's also really popular, but I'm not talking to you guys on if you want to vote for it or not. I'm talking to you, Mr. Listener. That's right, you, right there in your car right now, or your bedroom, wherever you're at. Look, I'm right there on your wall. I know you have a poster
In
of
my
me.
bedroom.
I'm talking to you right now. Anyway, look at that poster of me. Guys, what I'm doing here is I'm nominating Rent a Girlfriend. Go vote for it, please. We should all suffer.
No. Oh my God. no.
Honestly, we should all suffer is a compelling argument. I just typed we should all. I just typed in we should all suffer instead of Rent a Girlfriend in the mouse search bar.
And guess what popped up? Rent a Girlfriend.
Well, it's
Rent a
crazy that
Girlfriend.
it's crazy. It automatically went there.
It's actually pretty fun. The first season, I thought.
First season's fun, and then it gets really, really bad.
I think since I enjoyed Domestic Girlfriend so much that Rent a Girlfriend will be fun. So
Unfortunately, it's not very similar, but it's
in
fun.
the recommendations. On
Of course
That's-
it is.
I wonder why.
Please, dear God, don't let that
Bunny
win.
Girl Senpai and Oreski, by the way. All three of your favorites, Pat.
Golden Time. That's another one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's some
Golden Time's
relation in the
good.
demographic of fans there. Yeah. Yeah. All right, P, what about you? What are you nominating?
I think I do like Undergirl Murderfarce, but the voting did really bad. So I'm gonna nominate another.
It did do really bad. It just came in last.
Yeah, so it did really bad. I'm gonna nominate a different.
That hasn't stopped you in the past.
That was different. I've already saw Undergirl Murderfarce, so I'm gonna pick a show that I haven't
was
seen that has
really hoping
vampires
it
in
won.
it. I'm gonna nominate the case study of Vanitas.
Ah,
I
think that has some legacy points.
Vanitas.
I would rather chop my balls off than watch another season of Blood Blockade Battlefront. You put that on record.
I was gonna say that's
You
a
did.
that's a
This
strong
is-
statement.
If I'm ever
yeah.
watching Blood Blockade Battlefront season 2, I've either been kidnapped or I have no testicles.
I just claimed the word.
and I'm gonna make sure, dear
I was
listeners,
gonna say-
don't
I
worry.
was about to say, so I'm going to nominate Blood Blockade Battlefront. really
I-
push for it.
I just combined the words
Oh, there's
claim and
would
statement by
win.
accident. That was weird. Yeah, Blood Blockade
Claimant
Battlefront would win.
is- Claimant is like a law thing, right?
It's well,
Yeah.
technically, yeah, but not in that context that I
No. But it is, man. Come on.
yeah, well,
you know,
I
you're good.
misspoke, and then I
Yeah.
went to say I just combined, and I said I just claimed. I hope the audio listeners, which is
I don't know.
most,
I
most people
spent the
on a
entire
podcast.
show claiming how dumb everyone in this world of Astra Lost Space is, and then I fucked up like 43 times after the episode wrapping up. So, like, truly, maybe all of that would have worked. I've changed my mind. What are we nominating, Pat?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, High School of the Dead. I you know what? I'm just an expert at finishing second, and that's okay. I'll ride with that until I don't ride with that, and I slip up and win by accident one of these times, I guess. And come in first, you know.
Yeah, we got
All
it.
Yeah, did you get it? Did
We
you get
got
the sex joke
first
there?
part.
Yeah.
The joke is sex. We get it. Oh,
Wait,
Oh, no.
What? I genuinely do not understand it.
My camera.
Talks about finishing second and how he always finishes second,
Oh,
and now he's gonna come in
Okay.
first because he's
Eventually
a
by accident.
gentleman.
because it happens sometimes. you know,
because you're not
progressing.
trying to
It's 'cause
imprint.
Pat-
Yeah,
it's
no,
'cause
He's not
no,
thinking about
I'm-
It's because
baseball.
Pat drinks so much.
I'm not
Yeah,
singing the national anthem.
Do the alphabet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's.
I think of the civil rights movement personally.
Oh, I was
Naturally.
okay. I was doing.
I think of golf courses, and I
I
remember
was
like
talking about tongue motion. Anyways,
I was talking about something else.
you do like the letters or
I was talking
whatever.
about
That's
what
like
I do to keep from,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
After
think
Lost
yeah,
in
poor
Space,
cat.
baby.
Poor cat
Can
is
you
lost.
cut
But yeah,
all
so
that
that's
out? Please cut all
No,
I'm
that
not
no,
lost at all. I understand what's going on. I just don't like it.
All right, let's keep this all in. Thank you, Trent. We love you for editing this and cutting out all the dead space and
gonna
us
buy
talking
some
over
more
each
now.
other like we are doing right
what
now.
do you think about when you want to not come?
I don't. You know what? Let's not do this.
You
right now.
don't think
tell
you
you
do
what he
more of like a
doesn't think
tantric
about.
vibe? That's pretty impressive.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you what he
honestly,
doesn't think
that's
about 3D printing.
yeah. Well, then he couldn't because then it would just. I mean, it would be a disaster, a flood
His
that people
filament
had
would go
not seen.
everywhere.
The amount of spores that would be released would be similar to that one Astra Lost in Space episode.
That's also what it would look like. Yeah.
Yeah, mushrooms are phallic.
All
Okay.
right, guys. I think that wraps up Astra Lost in Space and Watch Club for this week. Take it away, Pete.
If you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. Next week, our episode will be the fall review. So we'll be talking Dawn to Dawn and how Mushroom Pup actually cleared the entire series or season. So can't wait for that. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for Oh Maidens in your Savage season. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.